comes Ethan Hunt.
Careful, H, there's loose rock around the elbow. Worry about your ropes, bitches. I'm fine.
Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review a film every weekday. Today's film is Fall, starring Grace Caroline Curry, Virginia Gardner, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. It's a thriller directed by Scott Ban. Fall is the kind of mess you get when someone walks into a studio with a good idea, but then throughout the creative process, everyone inserts their own half-baked addition. It's needlessly long and boring, and it only really works if you don't think about it at all. The story goes something like this. Becky and her husband Dan are open-face rock climbing with their friend Hunter when Dan falls to his death. A year goes by and Becky is still mourning Dan. She's an alcoholic who pushes away her family members. In a last-ditch effort to get her out of her stupor, her father calls Hunter to get her out of the house. Hunter and Becky meet up and Hunter tells Becky about a new climb she has planned and asks her to go with her. It takes Becky a night to decide, but she reluctantly agrees and the two set off on a road trip to the tower. They visit a cafe and stay the night in a hotel before driving out to the tower in the morning. The tower is gated off, so they park far away and walk over to the base of it. They climb the rickety old tower, and at the top they take a bunch of pictures and videos before spreading Dan's ashes to the wind. When they go to leave, the ladder breaks and Hunter just barely catches Becky with the rope. The two are left stranded at the top with no way down. The story is really boring and overflowing with needless drama. The two women being stuck in this situation and trying to survive was plenty of story and would have made for a great film. Instead, they shoehorn in a love triangle, daddy issues, and a dead fiance. It's distracting and takes away from the survival story that's supposed to be the main plot line. I really only cared about how they were getting down, and they gloss over that part. Becky does grow as a character over the course of the film, but they never really address any of the other characters. They're more like props to help Becky. The plot relies pretty heavily on you not thinking about anything, and large portions of it feel heavy-handed and overly contrived. The light bulb charging concept isn't real, and even if it was, having the giant light at the top of the tower be a normal bulb was just so stupid. This film only has 3 actors in it, and a few extras with lines. Jeffrey Dean Morgan does an okay job. He's on screen for 3 whole minutes and his entire personality is worried father, but he does it well. Virginia Gardner and Grace Curry get the lion's share of the screen time as Hunter and Becky. Together they have great chemistry and portray a deep friendship. Both of them are fantastic at showing off their fear and sadness. Gardner has Hunter climbing and leaping freely as if she was a natural-born climber, and Curry shows off a more timid and careful style. The soundtrack is subtle and acts more as a companion to the visuals than anything else. There are a lot of tracks looking to elicit some type of emotion in you at the right moment, and for the most part the movie uses them really well. It doesn't over-rely on it, and aside from that, only uses ambient tracks to set the mood. The visuals are initially appealing to look at. The camera work is energetic, and there's a lot of scenery to look at, especially from the top of the tower. All of that said, the film is also quite boring visually. There are only a few tense moments, and the only reason they appear tense is the editing. Once you've had your fill of scenery shots, there isn't much to keep you engaged. Fall is a long, boring mess that might have been a good idea, but it is so poorly written that its good soundtrack and acting can't keep up with it. I really don't see a reason to watch the film, and would have a hard time recommending it. 5 out of 10.